Who wants to start? Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Just see everybody play with their recorder.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm not starting out this time.
How about if I ask you guys questions? We can do it that way.
So, okay, I'll
There you
start.
go.
Right.
Yeah.
So the show is visually like beautiful.
Oh,
Like,
thank
what
you.
was the production like? Like how? Because
It's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, it's there's no good place to shoot this show, so everything is you kind of have to make it. We built 2 ships for the first season, a third for the second.
Bigger than the first.
Yeah, it's a pretty big production, but it's I mean, I think at the beginning with Stars, it was about I think their commitment to make the show was to make the show, to make an uncompromised version of it and a vision of it that felt big and real, and I think in order to do that, you kind of can't cut corners. It's a story about people that live very big lives.
So it's based in the Bahamas. Did you shoot there or?
No, we shot. Everything is shot in Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's almost entirely shot in on a studio lot. So we are a very visual effects dependent show.
So we combine sets on stages, sets outdoors, the town as an actual set on the actual beach. The water washes up in the sand, and then the ships are all on the compound as well, sitting on a hard deck. And we shoot them with green screens.
One's in the tank, in a water tank, and then 2 of them are on solid ground.
Yeah. It's a massive scale. When you drive down the freeway to the studio, you can see the pirate ships from the freeway.
Yeah.
Very
I'm a huge pirate buff.
Nice.
I did a lot of research for him, and one of the things I like about the show is there actually is a pretty good attention to historical detail. How much research have you put into it, and how do you keep doing your research and ensuring you're kind of staying true to those kind of myths?
A lot. I mean, I think we wanted to understand. We wanted to understand sort of what the historical record was about these people, but then I think beyond that, we want to understand the historical context of these people and the things they dealt with and the problems they had, and to really sort of get under the hood of it. I think our commitment to it is to the truth of it, less than the details of the historical record. So we will play with timelines, and we'll play with what is somewhat settled history about people in order to tell the right story about what their experience was like and what that world must have felt like. I think that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that whatever we're doing, it may not have actually happened, but we like to feel like it could have happened. And that's all part of trying to pull piracy out of sort of fantasy back into something that feels real.
Yeah.
The show debuted on YouTube first, then it went to Stars. How did that transition happen?
I'm sorry, it debuted where?
YouTube.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, they released the first episode.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No, it was. I think at the beginning it was just about trying to get people exposed to it, to introduce people to what I think Stars felt and we felt was this great big world that they wanted to make sure as many people saw as possible.
You guys covered a lot of ground in the first season, a lot of ground. As you put the whole thing together, how far ahead do you guys know where things are going, or do you have an end point and just going to work your way toward that? I mean, how's it work from that end for you guys?
A lot of it is the book. We're slightly bound by the source material, but I think in terms of where we see the show itself going, pretty good sense. I mean, I think it's a process of setting mile markers and then stepping back and then constantly sort of checking where you're going. But I think we have a pretty good sense of where it's going in terms of how it interacts with history. The history specifically of Nassau and what happened there. I think that's always both a guide and a challenge. I think to try to figure out how to fit that history into this fiction of these two very big characters that did not exist in that history in Flint and Silver. How to integrate them.
Where do you get the inspiration for the backstories on your characters?
In some cases it's we pull from history. In some cases it kind of arises organically out of the relationship that's on screen.
A lot of it they're composites of people, stories, things that existed in the record that we found interesting and just tried to put a face to. Some of the time, it's always about trying to find the emotional
sort of core of the character.
Yeah, exactly, and of the story, and finding ways to make sure that there are faces, that can express that.
In the upcoming season, are there any historical pirates that are going to be showing up, or any other historical figures that may be popping up that you can tell us about?
We're introducing a guy named Ned Lowe early in the second season. Who was a real guy, and from what we know in the historical record, was among the more sort of violent, dangerous, sort of borderline psychopathic. He had sort of a reputation for torture and enjoying torture, and so our version is along those lines. He's a guy who employs violence in a way that he feels is sort of truthful and unblemished, and but in comparison to everyone else, he comes off slightly demented.
It's I think the hope, as both in this season and going forward, is it's such a big world, and with so many faces of characters people have been hearing stories about for 300 years. I think for us, it's we're constantly looking for ways to pull people out of that toy chest and make them part of the story.
How many people did it take to build those shows?
I think at any given point there's 300-400 people in the construction crew that are just building. So for season 1 that was the town and the ships. For season 2 that was more ships, and just kind of trying to build more pieces of the Caribbean.
In London.
And London, yeah. Sort of seeing what it's a story about people who are outside civilization. You can't fully understand it until you understand what civilization is. So we wanted to be able to see London and understand what they were running away from and what they were outside of. So that was a significant build as well.
Awesome, thank you.